Let's take a quick tour of NANA's new Gravel website. You can open any browser and visit the Gravel website by typing in nanagravel.com. Oops. Or you can simply go to the nana.com homepage, and at the top menu you'll find a tab for natural resources. Under the drop-down menu, Nana Gravel is the first selection, and you can click that to get to the Nana Gravel website. So the Nana Gravel website hopefully provides an overview of the most frequently requested information about obtaining gravel on NANA lands. If you look at the top menu, you'll see that there's information on how to obtain gravel from NANA resources, which are any gravel sites that are on NANA lands, as well as how to obtain gravel from state resources, because sometimes you can obtain gravel from, say, riverbeds that are owned by the state. So that tab will take you to information about how to obtain gravel from the state. There's also a tab about permitting and regulations that apply to gravel sites. Finally, there's a Contact Us tab that has frequently asked questions that will hopefully address some of the most commonly asked questions about gravel. If we scroll down to the bottom of this main page, you'll see this map, and it shows the gravel sites that are on NANA lands in the region. The green dots show active material sites, but that's a little bit of a misnomer. An active material site is simply a gravel site that has been mined in the past. It may not currently be permitted to operate, and there may not be currently any gravel available from that site until it is permitted, has the plans in place, and has an operator. In addition, there are undeveloped material sites, and those are shown by these white dots. And what that means is that NANA has data that indicates that there are good gravel sources in that location. However, there's never been anything mined there. In order to develop those sites, that usually relies on a large project that will have the funds to develop a road to the gravel site, to do the initial environmental permitting, the wetlands permitting, basically everything that needs to happen to develop those gravel sites. They're often a long time away from being developed, and as I said, you usually need a large project with a lot of funding in order to make those resources available. If we come back up to the top, you'll notice this menu on the sidebar, which lists every community in the NANA region, as well as the state material sites, and these links take you to the individual information about each of the gravel resources available in the communities. So for example, if we click this Ambler link, this takes us to the website for Ambler Gravel and tells us which different material sites are available. So there's an airport gravel pit, and there's also material site B. When we have this kind of information available, NANA will provide information on the actual characteristic of the gravel, what type of material it is, whether it meets construction spec. We don't always have that information, but if we do, it'll be on this page. It also includes map data for where the site is actually located, and also other pertinent information. For example, there's issues sometimes of naturally occurring asbestos in the region. Ambler's had a history of that, but this explains whether or not that's an issue for your project. There's also useful links about this site, such as a link to the Alaska DOT, which has developed a policy about how to manage naturally occurring asbestos in gravel. There's a link to the NOAA program and also more information about asbestos itself from the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry. We can visit another site, for example, Norvik. And this site tells you about the Hotham Peak Gravel Pit, which is the single gravel source in the Norvik area. That site's operated by the Native Village of Norvik. They are our local gravel manager, and they operate the site. Gives you information about the material, where it's located, and how you can contact the on-site manager in order to purchase gravel. Finally, there's this link to state material sites, and this tells you about how you can obtain gravel from the state. For example, Noatak used to mine gravel from the river. Most rivers are on state land because they're water bodies, waters of the state. So Noatak had to go through the state of Alaska in order to obtain a permit to purchase gravel and mine it from that river. So now let's take a look at the actual process of obtaining gravel from NANA. Of course, this only applies to gravel that is on NANA lands. Elia Gomez is the Natural Resource Specialist at NANA, and she manages the gravel request process. You can go online and fill out this gravel request form and submit that to NANA or Elia or gravel@nana.com, or you can fax it. One thing about filling out the gravel request form is if you don't complete all the information, then NANA is not able to really help you with your gravel request. So please be sure to fill out your gravel request form in detail. And there's a link to that gravel request right here. And you can see the gravel request form. It's pretty basic. It's one page, but it really helps NANA figure out what gravel may be available for you. There's some useful links, which include a link to this template to develop a mining and reclamation plan. Those are required for any gravel site. There's also this tab to obtain gravel from the state resources, which we looked at before and talks about how you can actually access gravel from the state. There's also links to the documents that are required for you to submit to the state in order to get gravel. There's a tab about permitting and regulations, and this is a very brief overview of the permits and plans that are typically required in order to operate a gravel site. NANA does not operate gravel sites, so the local manager or operator is responsible for obtaining and complying with all the permits and plans that are necessary in order to mine gravel. Permitting and developing plans for a gravel site is complex and can be expensive. Most of the time, NANA relies on large projects with a contractor who is the operator for the site. However, that contractor is often only authorized to use gravel for the specific project which they are funded to operate. In Norvik, the tribe is the operator. The tribe has obtained all of the permits and plans. They have developed and implemented the mining plan, and so the tribe can sell gravel to anybody. Over on the right of this permitting and regulations page, there are some useful links that take you to some of the informational pages about stormwater permits, air quality permits, wastewater permits, for example, if you're dewatering a site, the mining and reclamation plan and letter of intent that's required from the DNR, another link to this template for developing your site mining and reclamation plan, as well as links to the Mine Safety and Health Administration, MSHA, and the Northwest Arctic Borough Planning Department, which requires Title IX permits for all gravel mining. Finally, let's look at this Contact Us and Frequently Asked Questions site. Hopefully this website provides a lot of the information you need in order to answer your questions, but if not, you can always contact NANA. The NANA Gravel Resource Program is managed by the Natural Resources Department, and the single point of contact for gravel is Elia Gomez. You can reach her at this phone number here listed on the 800 number listed at this website, at gravel@nana.com, or at elia.gomez@nana.com. There's also frequently asked questions down here that help with some of the most frequently asked questions that Elia receives and hopefully provide answers to you. For example, it discusses what kind of forms and documentation are necessary before you can actually access gravel. It includes some information on who to contact about gravel costs where gravel is currently sold. It also has NANA's policy on personal use and other information such as naturally occurring asbestos, who's responsible for permits, other common questions that you may have if you're trying to obtain gravel. NANA hopes that this website provides some easy access to the most common information that you may need in order to obtain gravel.